Hi everybody, happy Sunday. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here with an update on the flooding situation across the city. You can see a live look here at I-10 East. This is at Lockwood. The right-hand lanes, looks like two of them totally underwater right now. We've been seeing a lot of this street and highway flooding across the city just because we've had this really heavy thunderstorm that just sat over these areas, especially from downtown and points eastward for about 2 hours. So quite a few flooding reports coming in, vehicles stalled, people having to be rescued from their cars. So a lot of stuff happening out there right now. Live look from the top of our studios, though, does show that things are starting to improve gradually. We don't see the heavy rain here in the Galleria. And notice out in the distance, we can actually see the skyline again. About an hour ago, that was not the case with the rain coming down so heavily. So that is a sign that things are very slowly starting to lighten up. That said, flash flood warning remains in effect until 4:45. Typically, these warnings stay in effect even after the worst of the storm has ended because they want to wait for the water levels to actually begin to recede. So this flash flood warning is in effect for two reasons. One, because look at the radar, how active it was there again for 2-3 hours. But also we've got these rain gauges all throughout the city with the Harris County Flood Control District. And between the two of these, they indicated the potential for flooding, that it was either imminent or that it was ongoing. And you can see this flash flood warning includes the downtown area going through places like Montrose, River Oaks, into the Heights, and then down towards the Museum District, West U as you get into the Med Center, and then getting into the east side of the city as well, including the north side of the loop here up towards the East Tex Freeway and I-10 and also Highway 90. This is where some of the worst of it has been, though, out towards Jacinto City, along the Ship Channel, out towards Channelview, Galena Park, Magnolia Park, Pasadena, Gulf Crest, down towards Hobby Airport. We have just seen just tremendous amounts of rain here in the last 2 hours alone. So again, street flooding has been pretty significant in these areas. Out towards the Brookhaven area, getting out towards Hobby Airport and Brookside Village, the rain is starting to lighten up here. We still have some steady light showers out there, but it's not flooding rain like we've been dealing with again since about 12:30, 1 o'clock this afternoon. All right, so let's switch over. This is, again, the Harris County Flood Control District. These are all of the flood gauges across the city here through different points where we may see water rising. The good news is that the majority of these, in fact, all of them in the flash flood warning, are in the green, signaling that flooding is unlikely. There are a couple, though, one just outside of the warning box where it shows flooding possible, and that's where water levels are starting to rise. Just based on the radar trends and that things are starting to wind down slowly, I don't anticipate any of these gauges getting into the red, which would indicate flooding likely or ongoing. But a few of these gauges certainly getting close to that flooding possible stand. And again, one of them now in the yellow, but overall, we're not seeing any bayou flooding. We're not seeing any creek or stream flooding across the city or on the east side, which is great news. Taking a look at rainfall totals, though, in the last 15 minutes, a couple spots do jump out to me. This one here at about 0.4 inches in the last 15 minutes. That roughly interpolates to about 1.5 to 2 inches in 1 hour. So this is where we start to become a little more concerned with flooding potential. Check out this one here, 0.84 inches in 15 minutes. You're talking about a 3.5 to 4 inch rainfall rate per hour. So some really impressive drenching rains out there that have led to that street flooding and highway flooding that we've seen across the area. A little farther to the west here as we get into the loop, notice rainfall rates in the last 15 minutes much lower. And so this is why I think the flooding concern is going to start to diminish here within the next hour. Rainfall totals, though, radar estimated, really show quite the story here. Again, east side has seen some of those darker shades of green, even getting into the yellow and the orange. This is where we've had the most significant rain totals. I do think that the radar is missing out on some of these amounts. See where it shows a 1/4 inch here in River Oaks. I drove through River Oaks on the way to work today. They definitely got more than a 1/4 inch of rain. So radar estimated rain totals are not perfect. They just give us an idea of what certain areas have seen. But I would say west side of the city probably saw about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain. But it was really once you got into the downtown area and points east where it was really bad. Getting in for a closer look here, places like Galena Park, Park Place, the Harrisburg neighborhood, down towards Allendale, on average from Gulf Crest out towards Pasadena, we saw 3.5 to 4.5 inches of rain And again, some pockets even saw more than that. A little farther to the north into East Houston, again, more rain totals, 2.5, 3.5 inches of rain, and a couple of isolated pockets here just to the east of 69 got close to 4 inches of rain here. And I know it says 6-hour rain totals, but a lot of this fell in just the last 2 hours alone. This wasn't the only spot, though, that saw heavy rain. We also got quite a bit of rain up towards the Conroe area. Check out Panorama Village. 5.3 inches of rain so far today. 4.5 inches of rain just south of Highway 105 down towards the Woodlock area. 4.5 inches of rain. So on average around the Conroe area, we saw totals about 3 to 5.5 inches of rain this morning and into the early afternoon. And even earlier than that, we saw heavy storms rolling through the Huntsville area out towards Lake Livingston, and these spots got on average about 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain. Radar right now shows the heaviest of the storms pushing down towards the coast. So everyone that dealt with the heavy rain along I-10 and points north, the good news is that things are slowly starting to wind down for you. Still kind of a drippy afternoon for us, but the real heavy rain is now starting to push down towards coastal Matagorda and Brazoria County, places from Freeport out towards Bay City and Palacios, seeing the heaviest of the rain right now. It does look like it's a little more progressive, though, than what we saw in the city, so it's faster moving, and so I don't think the flood threat will be quite an issue like we saw through Harris County. Into the Galveston area, heavy storm right now just over the intercoastal, not quite over the city right now. Got some heavier storms, though, back to the west as you get towards places like Bay Harbor, Jamaica Beach, into Freeport again. A couple thunderstorms rolling from the mainland down to the islands right now. Back over mainland Galveston County from places like Alvin to League City, still seeing some heavy rain there along the Gulf Freeway, so you'll be in and out of the heavy rain back and forth between Galveston probably for the next 2 hours. West of the city, we had some good steady soaking rain over the Katy to Sealy area along I-10. That is now quickly starting to wrap up, so there's the good news. Places like Belleville totally turning dry now, up towards Cypress, you're dry as well. But again, some steady soaking rain still from Katy all the way into the city along I-10. And then finally here within the city itself, things are turning a lot lighter. Notice how we go from the red down to the lighter green shades on the radar. That indicates we're going for some really heavy rain down to some lighter showers. Again, just kind of a drippy afternoon right now, but I think the flooding threat is quickly starting to diminish for these areas. But that flash flood warning stays in effect till 4:45, and that's where we still have some high water spots in the roadways, and that's going to be an issue for us here as we go probably through the next hour or two before everything starts to recede. The good news, though, is that as we get into the evening hours, all of this will start to wind down, and we should see some improvements here across the area. That's a look at the latest on the flooding threat right now that's ongoing across the city. Again, the worst of it is from downtown and points east. If you don't have to be on the roads, I would advise against it until probably about 5 or 6 o'clock. That's when everything should really start to improve. But for the time being, try to stay home. You're just going to create more headaches for yourself and for others out there. Again, as this heavy rain starts to move out, the coastal spots will continue to see heavy rain probably through about 6 p.m. and then everything should start to wind down. Coming up on the KHOU 11 News at 5:30, we'll talk about the rain potential for Labor Day tomorrow and how the rest of the week is shaping up. Until then, stay dry. We'll hope to see you.